hit like, and subscribe. You're watching the Marc Lamont Hill official YouTube channel.
Peace, family. This is your brother, Marc Lamont Hill. Welcome to Night School. Every night here on the Marc Lamont Hill official YouTube channel, we hold Night School, where I break down the most interesting topics, the most controversial subjects, the most contested debates going on in the world today. And tonight is no different. We're going to get to it. I want to thank everybody for being patient with the time. The tech issues that we've been having were exacerbated today. Some audio challenges. You know, we've been having some weird audio anyway. We're working through it. I'm in a transitional studio space, which is why the audio sounds so distant sometimes and so tinny. I don't want you to think that I don't hear it and that I don't know, but I think it's more important for me to get the content to you right now than it is for me to take, you know, a month off and get the and get this stuff completely repaired, because we building this plane as we fly it. All that said, I want to thank you all for your patience. I take your time very seriously, and I've been sitting here trying to get this thing up and running for over an hour. So please know that I'm not dismissing the importance of time. Quite the opposite. I got a little lint here. I took my hoodie off and now I got lint up in here. Let's see. I look better now. All right, y'all. It's so good to see y'all. Things are good. I'm exhausted, man. The later we go, the older I get, man. It's hard to do this thing, man. I might get a sponsor. Can we get Red Bull or somebody to sponsor me? I don't even like. I know that's the fate the healthiest, but look, pay the bill. I appreciate y'all. We have had such a wonderful month. The channel's doing well. The views are up. The engagement is high. So just thank y'all for all of that. Thank y'all for all of the support. What else? Yesterday was my birthday, as you know. Thank you to everybody who sent birthday tidings. Some of you have sent donations. Some of you have supported the channel. Some of you done the Cash App. Some of y'all got memberships. I appreciate all of that. So please, yes, if you want to do that, y'all know what it is: Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, Zelle, whatever you want to do. I really do appreciate it. Yes, this is a Dilla t-shirt. It's straight from OK Player. The Nipsey one I had on last night that I had on the Joe Budden podcast this week comes from Uncle Bobby's. You know, we have a legend series. We got Marsha P. Johnson. We got Kobe Bryant. We got Nipsey Hussle, and so forth and so on. We got a lot of lots of apparel, and if y'all are doing holiday stuff, now is the time to do that. We're going to talk tonight about a bunch of stuff. We're not going late, but we're going to talk about a bunch of stuff. First of all, we got to talk about Kanye West and his wild and weird deposition. It went viral. I'm going to show you the clip. I got my hands on it. You got to see it. Then we're going to talk about women who are trapped in Saudi Arabia. People who literally, women particularly, who literally cannot get out. Plus, Wendy Williams has resurfaced, and based on what I've seen, she doesn't look the way a lot of the reports were saying she looked. She didn't look incapacitated, to use their language. And again, bad news for Diddy. But before we get to any of that stuff, I want to start in Gaza. I want to start with the devastation in Gaza, specifically Jabalia refugee camp, where Israeli forces have basically erased all signs of life. Let's get to it, y'all. The Jabalia refugee camp in Gaza has been wiped out completely by Israeli forces. I mean, nothing remains. The only thing you see now is ash and rubble. The area, which was once densely populated, included a large open market, restaurants, schools, clinics, all the stuff that a vibrant city would have. But Jabalia was pounded relentlessly with airstrikes in the first few months of the war. The deadliest date was October 31st, where, you saw massive craters in the ground. Now, Israel claimed the camp was a command center for Hamas, that it had a tunnel system underground. On November 8th, Israeli troops entered the camp and they intensified the fighting. Families were forced to move from school to school, not to get an education, but to survive, because these have become makeshift refugee camps, humanitarian centers, etc. Then on December 12th, last Thursday, the defense minister announced that the fighting in Jabalia had finished, that Hamas had been dismantled, and that the troops withdrew from the camp. But then, I'm sorry, December 12th of 2023, excuse me. But then a second offensive came the following year, this year that we're currently in, on May of 2024, when civilians were ordered to evacuate. 2 days later, they re-invaded Jabalia refugee camp, and it was a full-scale re-invasion. By the time the military left, 70% of the camp's buildings had been heavily damaged. But Israel wasn't done with Jabalia. In October 2024, Israel began a third offensive, and that one continues right now. From October until now, 2.5 months later, they are still in there. Haaretz, which, if you don't know, is the Israeli newspaper of record, found a document circulated to combat soldiers, and it talks of, quote, exposing large areas. That's a euphemism for destroying the buildings, for tearing down the infrastructure, and to do it so much so that the area is uninhabitable, ostensibly so that Hamas has nowhere to hide. This is the devastation of Gaza. This is the devastation of a genocide. You see, part of what I need you to understand here is that what's happened since October 7th is a full-scale genocide. No doubt about that. But what you see here also is a kind of commitment to settler colonial tactics. Settler colonialism isn't just about eliminating the native. I mean, although it is about removing the native from the land, settler colonialism is about territoriality. It's about controlling the territory. It's about controlling the land. It's about reordering space. And part of how the settler colony of Israel has reordered space is to not just take it over, and to not just build walls and surveillance technologies and such, but also to destroy things so that they cannot be returned to their previous forms and eventually rebuilt in ways that erased even the very memory of the native. So part of why you see Jabalia refugee camp destroyed all the way down, yeah, there is a military tactic to that. And yeah, it also helps serve some of the kind of genocidal impulses that we see from the military, and to the extent that it kills people. But it's also about saying, you will never return here. You will never come back, because we're going to destroy the civil infrastructure. Jabalia is destroyed by 70%, but when you look around Gaza, you see 70%, 80%, maybe even 90% before this thing is over, of the built environment, of the civil infrastructure, of all of the things that are constructed there might be gone. We're already in the 70s. In terms of housing, we're already in the 90s, right? Almost everybody in Gaza has been displaced. So against the backdrop of that, what are we talking about? And remember, Jabalia is a refugee camp. One of the great tragedies of the refugee camps in historic Palestine is that they started putting down cement, and tents turned to cement. And these were no longer temporary fixes. These were long-term strategies for an Israeli settler colonial state that was never intending to give the land back. This was never a military occupation in the West Bank. This was never a military occupation in East Jerusalem. This was never a military occupation in the Sinai. This was never a military occupation in the Golan. This was never a military occupation in Gaza. This was always ultimately a land grab. And so when we know that, and we know that nothing is, Bullet the Bunny here says, nothing is untouched, no clean water, no roads, no functioning hospitals. All of this is designed to destroy the native's spirit, to destroy the native territory, to ensure transfer. That is what we're talking about. Bill Williamson says, I just don't get how they attack refugee camps. It's sickening. Here's the thing. The argument is always the pretext of security. Israel has always used the pretext of security to justify offensive action. In other words, we have to blow up this camp because Hamas is hiding here. We have to destroy this school, violating all the international laws, because Hamas is hiding there. Oh, we have to blow up this hospital because Hamas is there. And if you just say Hamas and with a subject and a verb in a sentence, suddenly it's okay to do this. This has become the issue. A little sarcasm there from Jesus was a Muslim. I'm going to bring up an argument. I usually don't do this, but I want you to see this argument because I want you to understand how the international community is thinking about this, how many people in the international community are thinking about this. Girl for Action said, and Hamas didn't know this was a possibility before striking on 10/7. Didn't they think of the consequences? That kind of question lets Israel off the hook. It basically says that if Hamas does something, or if anybody does something that Israel doesn't like, even something that is legitimately wrong, even something that the world may say shouldn't have happened, even something that might violate international law, that doesn't mean that Israel has the right to do this. Yeah, was it possible that Israel would use disproportionate force? Sure. Was it possible Israel would use indiscriminate fire? Absolutely. But are we really going to say that even if a person were to concede, and I'm not saying you have to concede this, but if a person were to concede that October 7th was wrong, that does not give Israel the right to destroy all of Gaza. It does not give Israel the right to tear down the infrastructure. It doesn't give Israel the right to kill women and children indiscriminately. It doesn't give them the right to violate international law. It just doesn't. But to say, well, you should have seen this coming is crazy. If I walk up to Mike Tyson right now and punch him in the face, yeah, it's a really bad choice. And Mike Tyson doesn't deserve to get punched in the face by me. But if Mike Tyson responds by beating me to a pulp, and then beating my mother to a pulp, and then beating my father to a pulp, and then beating my brothers and sisters to a pulp, afterward they say, yeah, but none of this would have happened if you hadn't punched Mike Tyson. Well, true. And he'll say, you know, Mike Tyson crazy. You couldn't see this coming? True, maybe I could have. But that doesn't make Mike right. Now, I'm using the analogy for that purpose. Let me move over just to be clear, though. The difference is Hamas, or the Palestinians more broadly, didn't punch Israel in the face first. The punch in the face isn't October 7th. It's everything that precedes October 7th. Israel's the one that's been placing Gaza under siege. Israel's the one that has the West Bank occupied. Israel's the one that has dispossessed the Palestinian people. So let's be very clear. Palestinian people have always had a right to resist. And there's nothing wrong or unethical about exercising that right. Anyway, I don't want to belabor the point, but I just needed to make that, clear. I needed to make that clear. All right. Let's move on to another story. Single mothers from Kenya are being trapped in Saudi Arabia. An investigation by The Guardian found that the women who were once employed as domestic workers in Saudi Arabia are being denied birth certificates for their children or visas in order to return home. The women all escaped abusive employers who kept their documents. Now, without the documents, the kids can't go to school. The visas can't be processed, and effectively they have stateless children. Now, children born outside of marriage are denied birth certificates because they're undocumented and they can't afford the basic rights and services that accompany it. And it's considered a confession if women survive rape or sex trafficking, can be prosecuted for extramarital sex. This is wild for so many reasons. One, I want to point out the problem because I don't think we necessarily understood this or understand this as a problem. There is a significant portion of people in the Gulf, in Gulf states, whether it's Qatar, whether it's Dubai, whether it's Saudi Arabia, who have very clear ideas about citizenship, which we all do. Right? They're different, but most countries have a clear idea what constitutes citizenship for them. And these countries often exploit the labor of people who are not considered citizens. They live there, but they might be, as in Kuwait, they call them bidoon, right? Bidoon jinsiyya. I mean, like that means like they don't have citizenship, but without citizenship. And the bidoon are people who, again, they'll never be citizens of this place. They come from different places, sometimes Kenya, sometimes the Philippines. There are lots of, not lots, but there's several different places they come from. And these people go to the Gulf countries for work. I've been in Qatar and literally seen folk who were very clearly, in my estimation, indentured servants and or slaves. They get there, their boss, who often feels like an owner, takes their paperwork, rips it up, throws it away, hides it. Basically, they make sure they can't go anywhere and they can't do anything. This is not a small thing. You know, when we talk about the Middle East, we have to be very honest. When we talk about race in the Middle East, we have to be very honest. And one of the things that we have to talk about is how the Gulf uses people from around the world, doesn't grant them citizenship, doesn't give them the most basic affordances of democracy. But these people get stuck and they can't leave. It's like having a gorilla pill. Like, that's what it feels like. And then we have to talk about the gender piece of this. Because when women are there and suddenly they're getting sexually assaulted and they have a baby and now they're the ones who are committing crimes, they can be prosecuted for extramarital sex in Saudi Arabia. Come on. You know, I don't care what public relations MBS does. I don't care what rebranding the Saudi Arabian monarchy does. At the end of the day, this is one of the most brutal and repressive obscurantist governments in our world today. And we have to be honest about that and do something about it. All right, y'all. If you're just joining us, jump in the chat. Let me know where you're from, what city, what state, what country, whatever. Let us know where you're hitting us from. Also, follow us, like us, hit the subscribe button, hit the join button if you're so inclined. Do all this stuff. We need the support. We need all the support we can get over here at the channel. I want to talk about something else. With the Trump administration reassuming power in about a month, 3 million civil service workers are on the chopping block. Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, who Trump appointed to run the Department of Government Efficiency, vowed to cut $2 trillion in spending. $2 trillion with a T. They've also promised, quote, mass headcount reductions across the federal bureaucracy. Now, the thing is, that ain't as easy as it looks. The tech bros are going to have to go through federal labor unions, many of which have rushed to put in protections for employees before Trump takes office. But labor leaders know that Donald Trump has an anti-labor agenda, and they want to bust up unions, and they want to use policy, laws, and sheer will to make sure that these big labor unions don't stand strong. At the end of Trump's first term, he issued an executive order moving civil servants into a new employment category, what we call Schedule F. Civil servants, Civil servants are designated as political appointees, and that makes them easier to fire. Let's be clear, government workers aren't the only ones at risk. If Trump successfully weakens labor protections, it will be catastrophic for American workers across the board. This is one of the crisis points that emerges when Donald Trump gets reelected. Unions are not safe. Workers are not safe. Donald Trump said this morning he wants to get rid of the U.S. Postal Service or privatize it, to be clear. None of this helps us as working class people. None of this helps us as middle class people. There'll be some wealthy folk who benefit from this, but that ain't how it's supposed to work. I'll just say that. That ain't how it's supposed to work. Oh my Lord, so many things going on. I'm so grateful for y'all, though. I'm so grateful for y'all. I'm so grateful for y'all. Whew. All right, let's take some more questions here. Black Bruce said, Brother Mark, when do you anticipate the studio being completed? Another 2 months, maybe a month or two. It just really depends on timing. My ultimate goal would be to stay here, rebuild rather than find a new location, and that's something we're going to strongly consider. But I anticipate having something dope sooner than later. Todd, TJ Taylor, thank you so much for joining the channel. Thank you so much for getting a membership to the channel. That make you special. And though we said 10-7 was an allowed response to 8 decades of October 7th to be used as an excuse to expedite the ethnic cleansing of the indigenous real Semites of the land. I don't want to get into who's a real Semite or not. I think that that's an unhealthy conversation, and it's not one that I feel comfortable engaging. But the idea of saying 10-7 is an allowed response is true to the extent that I think the Palestinian Authority knew. I think Fatah knew in particular. I think everybody knew who was supposed to know. This situation of 10-7 has to be looked at through the lens. I saw Norman Finkelstein last night saying something similar. We have to look at this not just as an ethical question about do you kill, but also what do you do to protect life? And so these are important questions because the Israeli state has been compromising life, Palestinian life, for those decades. So if they're not doing it, I don't know who is. Anyway, Rolando, thank you so much for gifting 5 memberships. I hope you all already grabbed them joints. The memberships be disappearing fast. Isaac Hempsey did the same thing. If you know what I know, you will grab that membership. But don't nobody listen to me. It's fine. I don't think Fat Meat Greasy. I'm just trying to see if we got any other major questions we need to cover. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. They're here. Dream Team is here. Oh, we got more wonderful gifts coming in. Zakia, thank you for your wonderful, wonderful donation. And Anthony, thank you for joining the channel. And again, Isaac MC, thank you so much. Let's get to it, y'all. We got a lot of ground to cover. Let's see here. Sean, you know what? Let me do it right. Let me bring up my banner and stuff. So when we put it up later, the world will know what the hell I'm talking about. Sean Diddy Combs was in court today for a briefing related, of course, to his sex trafficking case. And the prosecutors hinted that he will likely face additional charges. Details of those charges could not be discussed because it's an ongoing investigation. But the government said they had no plans to alter the trial date. The reporters inside the classroom said Combs looked noticeably thinner and grayer. Of course he did. He's not eating as much. On Christmas, they're going to send up, give him a Cornish hen, a little bit of mac and cheese. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm not even exaggerating. Like, that's literally going to give him. And he don't eat that shit. A little cranberry sauce. He don't eat that shit. He's used to Brooklyn Chop House. So Diddy is nothing interesting, I think, is happening in terms of the hearings. I think we're going to see Diddy in May, and that's going to be that. So get used to it. It's from what I hear, he's in good spirits. When I hear he's not on suicide watch, but I also hear he does look thin. He's playing basketball every day. He loves to hoop. You know, he's trying to figure out what he's going to do in a couple of days. But please understand, this is an awful situation, but it's not any more awful for him. I'm sorry to keep scratching y'all. I got these daggone lip balls everywhere and they're making my arms itch. Anyway, I don't know if you think I'm like on heroin or something. Anything's wrong with that. Anyway, so Diddy is not looking like Diddy because Diddy is not doing well. He's doing better than he was when he was about to get incarcerated. He's doing better than he was when he first got there. He's settled in life a little bit. He plays cards, plays 3-on-3 basketball. He eats. He does all kinds of stuff. Yo, Jazz is so shady. I'll come to that in a second. Yeah. Jazz is so shady. Let's move on to another topic. It's a hilarious level of shade, I gotta say. It's hitting not Mark on heroin. It's your ashy shank. I'm not even ashy today. It's not that. When I get tired, I tend to scratch and be itchy. Jazz is right about that. I don't know if y'all saw her comment basically saying that she said classmates 911, the scratching, itching, and rocking has started. Can someone please ask Mark something about the genre? Right. Because if I start talking music, I do turn up. But today it's the sleepy scratch, but it's also I got these weird limp balls for the sweater. And so both things are happening at the same time. The Ray Charles type scratch, and That's it. I got you. Yeah, look. Anyway, y'all are wild, yo. Bullet the Bunny said, please keep Dr. Abu Warda and his family in your hearts family. He's wearing thin, they remain separated. Y'all remember Abdul Wahab Abu Warda came here. He's a doctor in Gaza, one of the last standing surgeons. And he does such excellent work, and he's such a sincere and brilliant and beautiful brother, man. I just want to make sure we do send him our love, that we do send him our support. And if you got resources, let's send them too, because that's what's going to matter at the end of the day. He's going to need help to survive. Everybody does. Let's talk a little bit, and I'll come back to Diddy because there's another story on Diddy that I want to cover. But Isaac said, hello, I wonder if you might be able to talk to an indigenous activist after the Columnist Mansion in Chico, California, burnt and land back might be possible. I would love that. I got my team reaching out to indigenous activists, similar to what I did with Nick Estes on Al Jazeera. I got all the things in place. I'm just fact finding and learning, and figuring out one, what's happening over there. Meaning that I don't want to just read the reports. I want to pass them on the ground, do some real reporting, and then two, being able to talk to the right indigenous activists, someone who knows how to engage herself or himself or whatever. Anyway, that's my thought on that. Let's see. Whew. What heavy times, y'all. It makes me sad. But let's get to Kanye. That might make me feel better about myself. Newly released video. Have y'all seen this video? Y'all ain't seen this video. I don't think y'all seen this video. Let me start by saying Kanye West is a fascinating person. And I don't mean that with shade. I don't mean that like to be slick. I mean like, jeez and crackers. So, newly released video shows a defiant Kanye West during his deposition, stemming from a tech lawsuit in 2020. The video is from the new A&E show Interrogation Raw, Celebrity Under Oath. I want you to see. I was going to set it up more and explain to you what's going on, but I feel like you kind of just need to see this for yourself.
Taking place via Zoom video conferencing.
Mr. Rowe.
What is Atkinson Baker? That's the court reporter?
The court reporter service is on twice.
All right.
Madam Court Reporter, can you swear in our witness?
Yeah.
Mr. West, would you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly state under penalty of perjury that the evidence you shall give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
This is case number 220, entitled My Channel versus West.
My name is Michael Popak. Can you hear me, Mr. West?
Yes.
Okay. I see that you're looking down at probably a device. Are you on your phone?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to ask as a ground rule that you not be on your phone during the exam. Can we agree to that?
Well, is that legally what it should be?
I'm not going to advise you as to the law. That's why your lawyers are here. But that is my ground rule for the deposition, consistent with California law, that you need to be present, focused on the examination and not on a device.
Due to my mental geniusness, in order to focus on this bullshit, I need to be on a phone.
Counsel, do you want to speak to your client before we continue?
I think, well, Kanye, in terms of, you can listen to the questions and answer them, right?
Okay, I get off the phone.
Okay, Mr. West, why have you donned a mask to start this deposition?
Because you don't have the right to see my face.
And is it your intention to wear that mask for the entire duration of your examination?
Perhaps.
Okay. So, counsel, we're going to take this up with the magistrate, but I'm not going to delay the examination. We'll do it at the break.
Kanye obviously had planned a stunt He had that mask in his pocket. He was just looking for the appropriate moment during the deposition. I'm in for a ride. My goal was to stay on that Bronco as long as I could.
Interrogation Raw, Celebrity Under Oath, Thursday, December 26th at 10, only on A&E.
So I want y'all to really sort of understand what's at stake here. You know, why I might show you something like this. One, shout out to A&E for showing us that footage, and I hope people do watch that program. A&E is a bunch of great programming like that I do think is interesting and really cuts to something interesting. A lot of times we think that Kanye West is doing these stunts because there's a camera, or he's doing these stunts because there's a national TV show, or he's doing these stunts because, you know, he wants to communicate a message on social media. But I think this shows you that even when it's behind the scenes, even when something is not intended to be mass consumed, Kanye is still Kanye. It also shows you during that time period, Kanye was doing some things that were alarming in terms of his mental health. It also is a reminder that Kanye West is a jerk, right? I mean, whether you like him or not, that's not me disliking Kanye or anything like that. I'm just saying, like, he can be an asshole, right? He can be funny, silly, dismissive, condescending, all those things. And even when he's mentally sharp, or even when he's at his rock bottom, there's this way that there's a sarcasm and a cleverness that comes through, but also some other stuff, you know, due to my mental geniusness. What are you saying? Come on. Putting that mask on. What are we doing here? For something that also inspires a great deal of sympathy for Kanye. If Kanye can't help who he is, Kanye has to land in that space that you saw in that video every time, then it's like, can we really blame him at some point? Like, really, like, what are we going to do here? Especially for something related to tech. I mean, this wasn't a child custody hearing. This wasn't a murder trial. This was something else that didn't seem like it would demand that kind of response. But what do I know? Anyway, just know that Kanye's history is complicated and it's dark and it's joyful and it's sad and it's depressing. It's all the things. It's all the things. It's definitely worth checking out. And to be clear, I was not paid to promote that show. I was not paid to put up an ad. I'm simply telling you something that caught my eye. And I know for many people, Kanye is such a fascinating person, a fascinating story. I want to sort of watch how he narrates his own life versus how other people narrate his life. And it's important that we think about those kinds of things. All right. This is the next story is one that is going to make you sad. It always makes me sad. There are very few in this business whose well-being I care about that much. Not because I'm heartless or cold, but because, you know, it's a business that the entertainment world kind of prepares you for people who are kind of fake. So there's just, again, it's about context. That's all I'm saying. It's about context. You'll see why I'm saying that in a moment. Anyway, Wendy Williams, the one and only Wendy Williams, has resurfaced after reports that she was permanently incapacitated due to early onset dementia. Now, the former talk show host was spotted smiling and talking in the back of an SUV after picking up some takeout food in Florida. She is said to be with her nephew, Travis Finney, and the video was posted on Instagram by the blogger Antoine Edwards. I don't know how Wendy Williams is doing. I don't know what Wendy Williams's health status is, but I do know that I care about Wendy Williams a great deal. And, you know, I like Wendy Williams a great deal. And I wish her nothing but the best. But when I hear that she can't move or she can't walk, she's completely incapacitated, then we see her just bebopping through the streets. It does make you wonder, is the tail wagging the dog here? It makes you wonder, is who's telling the truth here? It makes you wonder if you can trust anybody in this space. I'm sure that's how Wendy felt, but me as a fan, as a consumer, and I'm a big fan of Wendy Williams. I love Wendy. It's important to understand sort of what these processes are, because when you get a lot of money, suddenly people care about your health to the extent they want to lock it away from you, you know, whether it's conservatorships, whatever. We see this happening. It happened to Britney Spears, but it happens to Black people a whole lot more. We just don't hear those stories. But please know that Wendy Williams is outside. Wendy Williams is not convalescing. I don't know her long-term prognosis, but I do know that people do better when they're surrounded by their family, when they're surrounded by love, when they're surrounded by, I guess now fans, you know, whatever. So hopefully Wendy Williams gets the energy that she needs, the support that she needs, the love that she needs, and hopefully she will be okay, because she absolutely, absolutely deserves it. All right, y'all. That was it for Night School. Thank you for watching. We're going to come back with some more content as well. I'll be doing the Gaza update coming up, I think, tomorrow. I'll also be doing some long-form interviews. You'll see. But things are coming along, y'all. Again, I appreciate y'all. I appreciate you for rocking with me every night. I appreciate the support of the show and of the channel. And even when my narcolepsy starts to kick in, and my extreme fatigue, which are two separate things, even when they kick in, y'all out here fighting with me. I'm out here fighting with y'all, man. I love it. We on the same squad. Hit Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, or Zelle if you want to support the channel. Of course, you can hit the like button. You can hit the subscribe button. Please hit that join button and become a monthly member. But if you want to cut around that process, or you just want to reach us more directly, use these platforms that are on the screen: Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, or Zelle. Drop what you can. We can use all the support. And of course, yesterday was my birthday. I know some people want to drop me some birthday bread. You can do that too. Just go to MLH TV. You can drop all the money you want, yo. I will be eternally grateful. Anyway, y'all, thank you for watching. I'll see you tomorrow night. Peace.